You were about to go. What's that? You're just like, oh, fuck, I
Yeah,
gotta
guys.
yawn.
All right, here we go. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Take It to the House. I'm joined by Zach today. Caleb is going on vacation to San Diego. So it's just us two this week. How are you doing this morning?
Good, man. Tired, working my ass off. So
Yeah,
much going on.
yeah.
So,
Well, in terms of NFL news and NBA news, which you can get to later, but it's already a busy start to the week. So I think we should just jump right into it. Derek
oh yeah.
Carr is now a Saint. He has been signed to a 4-year deal with which could be worth up to 150 million. Now, what I've been seeing lately is that a lot of people just look directly at the 150, but based on the math, really, it comes out to about 37 and a half per year, 37 and a half million per year, which is really not that bad when you look at the current quarterback market. So before I go off on my little Saints fan rant, why don't you kind of give me your thoughts on the Derek Carr acquisition?
I think uh, it's a good signing for the Saints. Obviously, 150 mil is a little bit too much for Carr, I would say, just because the Raiders kind of paid him more. But other than that, I think it's a really good signing. I think Dennis Allen needs to get his together though with his offense because obviously he's a defensive minded coach. But I think if you get if you hire a new coordinator, quarterback coach, I think you might get something out of Carr more.
Mm,
But I do like the signing. Obviously, it gets him out of the AFC West, obviously.
yeah.
But it just depends. I know it's most likely that James is going to get released, though.
Yeah, it does sound like Jameis will be a cap casualty for the Saints. Which
Yeah,
it's really, that's sad for me because I don't think that Jameis ever really got a fair shot. But I think if Sean Payton were still in New Orleans, he would have gotten his fair chance. But listen, that's not how things went, and I think that Jameis could go prove himself elsewhere, or maybe he's just one of the best backups in the league.
and
So
honestly, I could see James going back to Tampa Bay. To be honest, they need
I
a
was
quarterback.
Yeah, I was thinking that, or he could even end up, in somewhere where there's going to be a quarterback battle. So like he goes to the
Carolina
Ravens or Carolina, or
could go to Vegas too.
could
To
go to
think about it,
Vegas. Yeah. So I mean, I think that Jameis will have options. I think he'll have suitors. Because he'll be cheap too. It's not going to be a Derek Carr deal. So, speaking of that Derek Carr deal, this is from Rappaport earlier. So, the Saints and Derek Carr agreed to a 4-year, 150 million with 100 million in total guarantees. He gets 70 million effectively fully guaranteed, which is 60 million at the signing and then another 10 million in year 3. Um
so that's just a signing bonus. That's
Carr
what they're saying.
structures, yeah, Carr structures his deal to accommodate the Saints cap issues. And I saw something earlier. So here we go. This is from Ross Jackson, and he's a New Orleans Saints reporter. So Derek Carr is a 4-year, 150 million, but based on the structure, it's more like a 3-year, 33.3 million per year deal, and then there's an extension optional. So
So they're
I
giving him a
think
player option basically.
right. So I think it's super good. I think if you're the Saints, it's an absolute win. I was really excited when I heard the news, being a Saints fan. Um, because it's first of all, it's an upgrade on what the Saints already had with Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton. Regardless of if Jameis got a fair shot or not, Derek Carr is an upgrade on Jameis Winston. Um,
Yeah.
and he's automatically the best quarterback in the division because the current quarterbacks for now, depending on whatever happens, but it's PJ Walker, uh, Desmond Ritter, Kyle Trask, and then Derek Carr. So he's automatically the best quarterback in the division. And you could argue he's a top five, top three quarterback in the NFC. So it's an absolute
Yeah,
win for the Saints.
With Brady retiring too, and like
Right. And Rodgers, we don't know
Rodgers is
what's going
out.
on.
Rodgers
Right.
might be out of the NFC, so like
Right.
that will place him definitely in the top 3 or 4. I mean, you got
Right. I
Jalen
mean,
Hurts
I think
and
you have Hurts, and then I
I would say
mean,
Dane. I would say Danny Dimes would be up there
or
right
even
now.
like Kirk Cousins, or but it's pretty open open division. So, or not
Yeah.
division, but conference. So, no, a huge win. And another thing that I would, that I look at, I've been watching sports news all morning because the Saints aren't ever really ever in the news. So it's kind of fun to hear national reporters cover the Saints. But um, the Saints have a really good defense, which Carr has never had, like ever. I don't think Carr has ever had an elite tier defense. And I think the Saints, the past 5 years, have had a top 10 defense the past 5 years. So they definitely can strengthen, but Carr won't
You
have to
guys,
win shootouts.
yeah, you guys don't have Honey Badger. You guys still have Honey Badger, right?
Mhm. Yeah. So, I
Okay.
mean, some of the names on the Saints, you have Honey Badger, of course. You have Marshawn Lattimore. You have Demario Davis. You have
Marcus May.
Marcus May, who will probably be suspended for a couple of games, but
Yeah.
um, Paulson Adebo, he's pretty good. And then Cam Jordan, obviously. And then there are some guys that the Saints will look to re-sign. And then you look at the draft. This year's draft is stacked with defensive lineman players, which I would imagine. Now we'll get to it in a little bit, I think, but I think the Saints draft board might change a little bit now that they have their starting quarterback. So we'll
I have
see.
something to add too. Like, what happens if Michael Thomas gets traded, right? Do you go out to draft a receiver in the late first round just because
Yeah,
you have the 29th pick?
right.
So I think one priority that the Saints should have is to find Derek Carr another weapon.
Yeah,
If they trade Michael Thomas, because Chris Olave, when Michael Thomas gets traded, Chris Olave is the automatic number one receiver
right.
and
And
not on that
even based
roster.
on, and even if you were to bring, I'll get to something to say, but even if you were to bring, let's say you trade Thomas, which I'm starting to change my mind, but if you trade Thomas and then, Olave is the wide receiver one, I think even with any other wide receiver that were drafted or free agent, I still think that Olave is the wide receiver one because
Oh yeah,
he's really, really good. But I think the Saints are going to work something out with Michael Thomas. Um, Thomas has shown that he's very, very excited for Derek Carr. Like tweets like thank God and like retweeting everything and reposting everything. So if I'm the Saints, I'm sitting down with Michael Thomas and saying, hey, let's try to figure this thing out. Let's restructure a little bit of your deal so we can afford you. And then basically, I think this would be a prove it year for Michael Thomas, where it's like, okay, you have a B to B plus quarterback now. You have other wide receivers around you, so you don't have to carry the load. And we have a good defense. So don't get injured, basically.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, he's been dealing with injuries left and right,
yeah.
so it just depends
But
what happens.
I actually think that regardless if you trade Michael Thomas or not, I still think that a wide receiver at that 29th pick could still be a good pick. Um, because
Well,
the Saints,
you guys might even draft a running back because Kamara's gonna get suspended too.
yeah. So I think the Saints will look at strengthening their offense a little bit more, but their defense is definitely going to be a priority. But the Saints have the pick 29 and then they have pick 40. So they pick pretty soon after. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of those two were a wide receiver or if one of those three, four, are we saying three elite tight ends in the draft? You'd have Dalton Kincaid, Michael Mayer, and Darnell Washington, would it be the three? Right. I think if any of those three fall to you at 29 too, that's not a bad pick. I think now you're going to look of like, how can we give Derek everything that he needs to succeed? And with 29 and 40 right there, you could even do some trading and stuff if you wanted.
Yeah,
If
I'm
like,
like
let's
they
say
could even
Jordan
move up
Addison,
too.
right? If Jordan Addison falls to like, 15, 16, you could package those two and probably move up and go get him, which I would
Exactly.
be all for. However, the Saints defensive line needs some work because they have like three defensive tackles that are all free agents. So, but Cameron Jordan has been heavily recruiting people. So he's already told David Onyemata that he needs to resign. He's already said that they need to go draft a new edge rusher. So Cam's on the recruitment staff clearly.
Oh yeah.
But no, I think it's huge, and I'm super excited. I posted something earlier. This wasn't on like professional or anything, but here are my like direct thoughts on this. So I said, gonna be real. I'm excited for this. Automatically have the best quarterback in the division and arguably a top 5 quarterback in the NFC. Carr, Carr with R, as in the Saints. Weapons and defense. Sheesh. I said I would also like to say that I've always been Team Winston, which is true. I don't feel like he got a fair shot here, and I would have loved to see him thrive, but it clearly just wasn't going to happen. Slash wasn't meant to be. I also did have a really cool interaction with Andy Dalton after the loss to the Cardinals, which was probably his worst game of the season. Might be one of the worst games of his career with those 3 picks. But um, he was so cool to take time. He wanted to give, I just want to give thanks to him for stepping up when he was needed. However, it's time to move on. I think we should still draft a quarterback for the long term, but this team should be fun to watch. Who dat? So, you know, I don't rule out the Saints taking a quarterback in this draft either, though, because I still think they're going to need one.
Yeah. So anything else on Carr? I think we pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, I also think we'll get to this a little bit later, probably, but I think the Jets made a mistake. I think the Jets made a huge mistake because I don't necessarily know if they're going to land Rodgers. So basically, the message we got from the Jets was, you know what, we like you a lot, Derek, but which is so strange because did you see yesterday? Was it yesterday? I think not even 24 hours before Derek signed with the Saints that the Jets were the front runners to sign Carr
Saints and Jets were
ahead.
both front runners. Yeah,
Yeah,
Carolina
even the
dropped out
Jets were
like
even ahead
Saturday.
of and the Jets were even ahead of the Saints at the time, and then it just flipped. So I
Yeah,
think that the Jets are pretty much like we're waiting for Aaron, and we want Aaron, and I think that you're putting all your eggs in one basket in that situation that could come back to bite them in the butt.
yeah.
All right, why don't you
So
transition us?
so Ravens and Lamar Jackson to remain apart on an extension. Franchise tag is likely, but I still think Lamar's going to get traded.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb brought this up to us last week. That Schefter reported that Washington has a deal with Ravens that could send Lamar to Washington.
That
And
it
that could have
could
been
be
agreed.
agreed last week.
It could have been agreed last week, but they're still negotiating. Um, Honestly, it's been heating up a little bit too these last few days too, because it's been growing up too.
Yeah, yeah.
So, um, do we see Lamar going to Washington now, or do we see him to
I
go into a different team? Like
I
what?
I think that he's gone.
I
I,
think he's gone.
I would be really surprised. I think too that there's been a lot of like drama involving Lamar and the team for a while. I don't think that it looked good that he didn't go. Which playoff game did he not? Did he not go to the playoff game and then they lost? And I think there was a little bit of a he wasn't there
He
for
was
the
still
Bengals
hurt
game.
though too.
Right, but like the fact that he wasn't even there, I think that's a bad look. Man,
Yeah,
I mean, you're telling me that if he goes to the Commanders, that's huge. That's you look
they
at
have
we.
weapons.
I mean, what
They
did
have
we mentioned
weapons.
it last week, right? I mean, like Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas, Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson. And then Eric Bieniemy,
Jahan Dotson too.
Jahan
You got a
Dotson.
young receiver.
I mean, that would be that division would be so fun then. That I would love it. I'm here for it. And I think Lamar would look good in the Commanders uniforms.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so I don't know. I have heard a lot of commotion about Atlanta as well. I just don't think. I think with Atlanta's pick in the draft, I think they're gonna just take a quarterback, and they
Yeah.
have Desmond Ritter, which they should probably give more of a chance. Excuse me. Anyways, but if you draft a quarterback, then Desmond Ritter, if he's that good, then he could beat out Anthony Richardson or Stroud or Levis or whatever. Um, so I don't really see that one happening. What do you think?
I don't know. Like I think, like you said, I think Ritter should be given a chance. I would say go sign a quarterback in free agency. You got Sam Darnold on the market, Baker's on the market,
Jimmy G.
Jimmy G's on the market, Mariota's on the market. I know obviously he's not going to resign with the Falcons,
Right.
but um, I would say give Ritter a chance, and I would sign a veteran quarterback just to like have him compete with or
Yeah.
have the veteran quarterback
I mean,
start.
even maybe even signed Andy Dalton. Like
Yeah,
he's a competent quarterback and he knows the division now. I mean, that's not a horrible shout. And then you draft if you want. I mean, so Atlanta are sitting at 9, I think, 8 or 9. Let's see. I have the draft order pulled up because we can never remember it. They're at 8, and so you know they probably either could trade up if they wanted to. They could trade up and get there, or stand at 8, and you probably get one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks.
Or they even draft a receiver too, like because
Yeah,
they need
and
they
help
need
your
receivers.
and help Ritter, because who
Yeah,
is Ritter? This is something I've always felt with any quarterback is you have to give them weapons in order to see how good they really are. So, like, you can't say, well, Desmond Ritter, you are not good enough because you had a rookie wide receiver and a second year tight end and a horrible offensive line and you didn't do very well. Like, it's not
right.
fair. Especially the NFC South, while it's a horrible division overall when you look at it right now,
Yeah, I have
quarterback wise.
the quarterback wise is Derek Carr, Jake Luton for the Saints, Desmond Ritter and Logan Woodside for the Falcons, Kyle Trask for the Bucks, and then Matt Corral and Jacob Eason for
Right.
the Panthers. So like,
Right. So,
yeah,
but the NFC South defensively is really, really, really good. So, because like the Saints defense is a top 10, I would argue that the Panthers defense has been a top 10. And then the Bucks defense, we all know, is really good. And then the Falcons defense isn't great, but if we're talking about quarterbacks for Atlanta, you don't have to worry about going up against Atlanta's defense. So I would be surprised if Lamar went anywhere other than Washington.
I would too.
I just don't see, and maybe he lands with the Jets. Like maybe the Jets wait
Yeah,
it out and then he works it out with them. But I don't see him going. The Commanders make sense to me. If he wanted to do Atlanta, that would kind of make sense to me. But Atlanta's just not a good team. And
no,
if you're Atlanta, you have to give up that eighth pick to get Lamar.
exactly.
So then you're drafting way far back.
And they could even swap picks too, and
Right.
that would probably be fine too.
What do you think about Lamar to the Commanders?
I think it's more likely than the Jets and the like. I could see him going to Atlanta, but I don't. He just doesn't have enough weapons in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And especially
And
if you're going to give up a first round pick for him and you're not going to be able to draft until the second or third round, not worth it.
yeah, well,
So
they'll have to. I mean, I think the asking price for Lamar is 2 or 3 first rounders. So, I mean, you're really banking on the fact, which I believe that Lamar is a top 5 quarterback in the league when he's fully healthy, but you're really banking on the fact that he stays healthy and that he makes the most out of the weapons that you already have in Atlanta. Don't have great weapons,
right,
and we have already established that Washington has really good weapons.
yeah. So moving on from Lamar, I'm going to say this real quick. The Cowboys have now placed their franchise tag on Tony Pollard.
Yeah,
The running back franchise tag is at 10.9 mil. So now Zeke is gone, I think.
I think so too, but I think Jerry wants him back, which
Yeah, I
is
think so too. But I would say if I'm the Cowboys, I think cutting Zeke might be the best thing for them
I
to
think
save
so
cap
too.
because he's on a big ass contract.
He's on a way gigantic contract, so I
And
think
he's not playing
mm-mm.
for that contract.
He's like been like their third down back or
Mm-hmm.
their goal line back, and it's just that's not what you're paying big money for. You're not paying big money for a third down back and a goal line back. I mean, look at like they kind of use him. They kind of remind me of Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison, where it's like
Yeah,
Zeke is the Madison, and you shouldn't be paying top tier money for Alexander Madison.
right.
So I think an interesting shout could be Zeke to the Bills though, if he gets cut, because the Bills need a running back pretty bad. I still think
I say he gave James Cook a chance.
right, but I think that is Devin Singletary a free agent or no?
No.
I think it might be. I think it might be time to trade him.
Yeah, and like I'm surprised. I don't like how they traded Zach Moss, to be
Actually,
quite
oh yeah,
honest.
shout out! I saw Zach Moss yesterday at Park Cafe.
Hey
Uh,
yo.
dude, he's a big dude. Every time I see him, I'm like, dude, he's looking good, and I just I hope that things work out for him because I think that he could be really really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that he's perfect for the
No,
Colts
he is a free
system.
agent. He's a free agent.
Singletary is,
Yeah,
yeah, I think they let him walk.
I did a little mock.
There's no
You're
need.
right. You're right. He's a free agent. So I don't know. You give James Cook a chance, and if Zeke remains a free agent, like how Odell's been a free agent all year, then sign him. you know. Buffalo's needy, but they still have Naheem Hines too, though. That's just which is probably no something to note too. So
Yeah, and I mean Naheem is really good, but like, why don't you go into? You could go into your new season with Naheem Hines and James Cook as your two running backs. I don't think that you lose any value there with losing Singletary. I
I
just
think
don't
you
think he's
let
that good.
yeah, I think you let Hines and Cook compete it out.
Yeah. And they're two very different style running backs. Cook's more of like a ground and pound guy, and Naheem's more of like a speedy guy. So um I think those two could work out. Or if they really
Kind of
want,
like
they could
Daryl
trade.
Henderson and Cam Akers,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. And if you really want, you could either draft a running back because they're in the spot where you could take one in the first round, or you could trade for one or sign a free agent, Leonard Fournette. Like if you wanted to bring Fournette, I don't think Fournette would work in cold weather though, in my opinion. But
Mm-mm.
um,
That man has stayed in Florida his
that's
whole
such
career.
that's such a weird his Fournette's release is a strange one to me because I think he was doing pretty well, and so
Oh yeah, we didn't cover that last week. Leonard Fournette got released.
mhm.
Yeah,
I
we forgot to say that.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this is just the Saints fan of me and the LSU fan of me. I wouldn't be surprised if he went to New Orleans. Dome team. They need, Kamara's going to be out for probably 6 games at least. So I mean, Fournette's proven, and he's a Louisiana guy, so that could be kind of cool.
Yeah,
Um, that one was a strange one to me though. Fournette getting released was really weird to me.
yeah.
I
It
don't
kind
know
of
what
makes you
contract he
question.
was on though. Like maybe
It's
he was
kind
on
of
a really
making you
big contract.
question. Yeah, it kind of makes you question what they're gonna do now because I feel like the Bucks are in full rebuild mode now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of their defensive guys, like the guys that are taking up cap space and some of their receivers, I think you're gonna see them kind of trickle off. I think once March 15th is when the new league year officially begins, correct?
Yes.
So that's gonna be free agency and stuff. I think it's gonna be bonkers.
Yeah.
And I think there are going to be a lot of trades and stuff like that too. I don't think that free agency is just going to be full of free agent deals. I think there are going to be trades.
The Bucks do have the 19th pick in the draft. So they could take a quarterback too if they're
If one
planning on that.
falls, I would
If
be
one
really.
falls.
I think after
I could
Richards.
see. Hold on, real quick. I'm sorry.
No,
Um,
go ahead.
I think Max Duggan could get drafted because he's definitely gonna fall, in my opinion.
Duggan's not even. So I was doing some mock drafts this morning because I love mock drafts. Duggan fell to the Saints at 200 pick 260 at the very end of the draft.
Holy shit.
So I don't think that Duggan is a first rounder. I don't think he's a second rounder. I don't think he's a third rounder. I don't think he's a fourth rounder. I think you're looking at 5, 6, 7 for Duggan if he goes. I'd be kind of almost surprised. But PFF isn't always like right on it. But if PFF ranks him that low, he was actually ranked below DTR. So
Oh yeah,
not
I think
great.
DTR could go there too,
I
to be
think that
honest.
it it wouldn't if I'm the Bucks at 19. If let's say what are we saying? Are we calling it a big four then? Really? So Levis, Stroud, Young, and Richardson. Well, those are the four, and I think they'll all go within like the top 10 or so. You probably don't want to reach at 19. What you probably want to do is get a wide receiver or get defensive help because
They need more
they're
defensive help.
I think their defensive guys are going to start bailing. Who is I want to look at their free agents. Also Leonard Floyd, bro. Like
Oh yeah.
he
He is not being tagged. He might be traded or he will be released, which I
and,
find really surprising.
and Allen Robinson, man.
Yeah, Allen Robinson's on the block too. Oh, and guess who else is on the block? King Henry.
Yeah,
I'm
there
not
we go.
joking. I'm
Yep.
not
So
joking.
so that's our next topic is reportedly that Derek Henry. I saw a report that Derek Henry trades were being talked about at the combine.
Yep.
Man, that's so crazy.
In a season full rebuild mode too.
Mm.
It's crazy.
So
So he joins Derek Henry joins Jalen Ramsey, D Hop, and there's one more missing. Aaron Rodgers, I would say, is up there.
Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers isn't a free agent.
There's one more I'm missing. But neither is Derrick Henry though.
Right. Derrick Henry's on the block.
Yeah.
I'm just pulling up the list of like a bunch of the free agents here because there are a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
I
But
think
yeah,
this
he
is here we
joins
go.
Jalen Ramsey, DA, Hope, and Rodgers to be been shopped in the recent days.
Holy crap. Okay.
Yeah.
So speaking of, let me go back to Tampa for a minute. Let me just read you some of their free agents. Okay. Levante David is a free agent. Akeem Hicks is a
That's
free
a big
agent.
loss. That's also a big
Julio
loss.
Julio Jones,
Uh,
Golston, Blaine
William Golston
Gabbert.
is?
William Golston is a free agent. I'm just gonna keep reading the notable ones. Murphy Bunting is a free agent. Keanu Neal is a free agent. Rashad Perriman's a free agent. Carl Nassib is a free agent. Logan Ryan's a free agent. Jamel Dean is a free agent. Mike Edwards is a free agent. Scotty Miller's a free agent.
That's a big
Uh,
loss.
so those are just the notable ones. I probably didn't read like 10. So Levante David, that's nuts.
I would say Levante David, Akeem Hicks, Scotty Miller, your big three
And Murphy
that
and
are
Murphy
leaving, and
Bunting, I
Murphy
think too.
Bunting and Mike Edwards. Five of
That's
those players
and
are key
I would
players on your
doubt
team.
that any of them return.
No, not at all, because Brady's gone.
And why would they? I mean, why would it?
No,
You could go to
exactly.
a contender. I mean, at least Levante David, Akeem Hicks, they could all go. Those guys could go to Murphy Bunting, Mike. What is it? Mike Dean, right?
Yeah, Jamal
Oh
Dean.
no, Jamal Dean and Mike Edwards. Like you could all of those guys could go to contenders or teams that are even just better than the Bucks.
Yeah, yeah.
And there are a lot of teams out there with cap space to work with. Um,
I hope Levante David goes back to Denver.
that'd
To
be
be honest,
nuts. Let
that
me
would be
see if
nuts.
I was gonna see
we need a middle linebacker so bad.
NFL cap.
Denver's like 10th cap
Yeah,
space.
I was gonna look them up. Okay.
I would say
Every
8th.
NFL team's estimated. Okay. Because I think the Bears are number one, right?
Bears are definitely number one. They have 98 million cap space.
Okay, so Chicago Bears are number one with 98.6. The Falcons have 56.4. Which that could be if you're the Falcons, that could be used for Lamar. Um Bengals at 3 with 44, so they could get a Levante David or like a Murphy Bunting.
They need to extend Burrow though.
Yeah. Giants at 44, but they're gonna go for Saquon. The
They need dimes.
Pats are yeah, and Danny Dimes. Pats at 38.1 million, Texans at 37. The Seahawks are at 31.3. That's not bad. That could be
They're like
really that could
they're
be
right in the
really
middle.
useful. That could
They're
be
right in the
really useful
middle.
for them. Ravens have 28 million. The Raiders have 18. That's a big drop. So 8 to 9, 18.4 million, and the Lions have 15.9. That's the top 10.
Okay.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
think the Raiders are gonna move up though, because Carr has taken a lot of cap space. Because
mhm.
when is that list published?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me look.
Because
This was through
Carr,
this was through Bears Wire, by the way. So it was a Bears article.
yeah, so that's probably old.
Um, was it right? January 30th.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, that's a really old list, but
but it's definitely new enough that most of that is the same.
yeah, I said the Raiders probably.
Uh-huh.
But
Um,
yeah.
I mean, a lot of those free agent guys, there are some good landing spots. I
Yeah.
mean, the fact that the Bengals have the third most cap space, even though they have to extend Burrow, that's nuts. A
Yeah, you
team that
still
went
have
to the Super Bowl and went to the AFC Championship has the third
in the
most cap
last two
space.
years, yeah. Where do we see Derrick Henry going? Back to this real quick before we take a break.
Let me look at. I'm gonna go back to our draft order, and then I can see who can trade what.
Tennessee has the 10th pick.
Tennessee has the 10th. No, they have the 11th.
Sorry, the 11th. Excuse me.
Okay. So I don't think that they will get the Bears number one overall. I don't think that the Texans will trade their second. Uh,
Honestly, I could see the Bears trading that pick.
Yeah, but I don't think that they'll give. I don't think Henry is worth the number one pick in the NFL draft. I think
But
it's
you
worth.
got the other thing you got to think about. He's been the rushing leader for like the last 3 years.
I know,
It's
but
the
I
other
just
thing.
a number one pick for a player is actually real. I don't think it would happen. You
I
know.
think they package it. I think both
Yeah.
teams package. So that's the other thing. Like they get players, they
So
get players.
if we're looking here, I think Arizona that could be a shout, but that I don't think that Derek would want to go there,
Mm-mm.
and he's not going to go somewhere that he doesn't want to go. Indianapolis, no. Seattle, no. I don't think Detroit either because they have. I think Swift is pretty good, and they have Jamal Williams. Uh, Josh Jacobs is with the Raiders. I don't think he'll go to the Falcons. Panthers, maybe. I think that if Henry's going to be traded, he wants to go to a contender. But the problem is where you're
Mm.
looking at this first round. I mean, the Ravens, but Lamar probably will be gone. The Giants will move on from Saquon. Maybe yeah, the first round. I mean, now maybe this would be kind of crazy, but we've heard reports that Joe Mixon will probably not be re-signed, which is kind of crazy. Maybe he goes with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. That'd be crazy.
I would like that honestly. Like
I think that'd be sick.
obviously my first team is Denver. My second team is Cincinnati. So I really like that. I really like that too. I mean, Mixon's been great too, but like the amount of he's more of a receiving back and I would say a running back. I mean, Samaje
Right.
Perine, the last three playoff
Yeah.
games was mainly the
Was the
carrying the
go-to.
rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think if you look at that, then it would be able to give Derrick Henry less of a workload and he would be able to stay healthier. I think the
Yeah.
biggest problem with Henry is he hasn't been able to stay healthy, but it's because they're running him 30, 40 times a game.
Right.
So I don't really know where he would go, but I do think that they might trade him and they might just blow this thing up.
Yeah.
Start Malik, and then maybe draft a wide receiver or draft a running back with that 11th pick and just reload. I think Tannehill is going to be traded too because he's not a free agent, right? I think they'll trade Tannehill for like a third or a second, maybe if they can get it.
Yeah.
So, well, should we take a quick break and then come back?
Yeah. I was gonna say maybe for Henry real quick. I say he goes to the Bears. I think that'd be a great pickup for the Bears. The Bengals would also be a great pickup. The part of me, my Denver part of me wants to see him in Denver too, but I doubt it because they have Javante
Yeah,
Williams
yeah. I
and
think you guys are. I think
Latavius
that Denver is
Murray.
good. Yeah, I do think that if they did a deal with the Bears, let's say that Tennessee gets the number one, but then
They might put Fields in that fucking package.
I
I could
don't
see
think.
that.
Yeah, but then if you're Tennessee doesn't want that because they have Malik, they already
It's
have their
true.
own. So what I think would be realistic is let's say that Chicago gets Derrick Henry and the Titans 11, pick 11, and maybe like a second rounder, and
I would
then
say that's enough
Chicago gives them
compensation.
the first
That's enough
overall. I think
compensation.
that's good.
I would say you can trade what's his bucket that had a really good year, Khalil Herbert
Mm,
for running back because they don't have a
they
good
won't have
backup.
any running back, yeah.
Mm-mm.
So you could give them like Herbert and the first
Or David
for
Montgomery. Or
yeah.
David Montgomery.
I would give him
Also a good
Montgomery
pickup.
because you could keep Herbert as like the change of pace. So you could give Montgomery your first overall, and then you get Derrick Henry the 11th pick and a second rounder. I think that's pretty good. And if you're even more if you want to be even more crazy about it, you get Derrick Henry and the 11th pick and then a future first. Because
Yeah.
the number one overall pick is a very, very valuable pick to have. Which obviously we're like no, but it's a super. I mean, if you try to do like mock draft simulators, the number one overall pick is like virtually impossible to get. You have to give up so much for it.
But yeah, here's the other thing too is that Tennessee's needs are mainly O-line, receiver, and linebacker.
Yeah,
So that's the only 50-50 part right there.
right. The only thing is that would make you wonder if they trade to get the number one overall pick, what would they do with it? They'd
They could
probably
eat,
trade back again.
yeah, they
They'd
could
probably do
package
it
it.
and get yeah
They could
go
package it.
backwards. Yeah.
And then dude, okay, before we go on break, I'm sorry. They could trade for the first pick, right? And then they trade with Green Bay and they get Rodgers, giving Green Bay the first pick. That could
That'd be
happen.
nuts, but
That would be nuts. But
I but
honestly, I
why
don't see it
trade
happening.
Henry
But
if you're gonna trade for Rodgers? Because the biggest thing that you'd probably want is to keep Henry and have Rodgers.
when Green Bay is only like 4 picks behind
My
Tennessee. So
my thinking would be they trade for the first and then they trade down with like an Indianapolis or like an Atlanta or
yeah,
something, and you just
I
get
could do
more
that too.
capital.
Yeah.
And then you have more picks to work with because you don't want to take a tackle or a wide receiver at number 1 overall. You take them like,
No.
10 through 20. So crazy times, man. All right. Well, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about some NBA. There's been a lot going on. Not
And the
all of it being
NHL
good. So,
and
yeah.
National Hockey League. Trade
Yeah.
deadline was last week.
So we will be right back and we'll catch you guys in a minute. All right, we are back from our little break. Just had to regroup here, and Zach is telling me that something dropped that I'm not going to believe. Go for it.
So yeah, this dropped and we were about to take our break. The Chiefs are expected to release pass rusher Frank Clark, as the two sides could not come to term on a revised contract.
That's such an
That's
L.
it's another big player in the free agency market.
And in terms of sorry, I was just looking at that. I just got that alert now too. In terms of Chiefs as well, they are not expected to franchise tag Orlando Brown.
Nope.
So that could be two that both hit the market from the Chiefs. That are like two of their best players. So where do we see Frank Clark?
The reason they're revising his contract because of freaking Patrick Mahomes. Let's agree there.
So this is just why we look at, this is why we look at, if you are paying your top tier quarterbacks, you're going to lose pieces that are important. So I still think that if you have Patrick Mahomes, I would take Patrick Mahomes in a heartbeat and then get rid of a bunch of key players. Like, that's fine because Patrick Mahomes just won the Super Bowl and won the MVP. But look at what happened is they lost Tyreek Hill, right? That's a big piece. They still won the Super Bowl, still were the number 1 offense in the league, but big piece. Why? Mahomes contract. Bengals are going to lose Joe Mixon. Why? Burrow's contract. Josh Allen. I mean, Bills have not been able to get many elite players. Why? They're going to have to pay Josh Allen.
They already paid Josh Allen, I thought.
Yeah, and then look at the Browns right now. Browns can't have a bunch of elite players. Why? Deshaun Watson's contract. And then the same thing with the Ravens. Is Lamar's got a big contract?
No, Lamar doesn't have a contract yet.
Well, either they're preparing for him to have one. Yeah. Raiders have officially franchise tagged Josh Jacobs too. That just came through, which we all knew was going to happen. So damn. Well, where do you see Frank Clark going? I mean, that's anybody's now because
that's anybody's. Denver might be a good fit, to be honest, because we're losing Randy Gregory, and we also lost Chubb this year. So I can see that happening. I think he stays in the division, or he even goes to a contender. He might go to the Eagles because they're losing. They're losing their whole D line.
Yeah, they're losing a lot of players. Man, this free agency is going to be spicy.
Yeah, it's starting to heat up.
Yeah, I'm getting really excited. It's gonna be super fun. I hope that my Saints can do something with it.
I'm gonna make sure the New Year League starts on the 15th. I believe it.
I believe it's the 15th, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, March 15th at 4 p.m. Eastern time.
There you go. 2 p.m. Utah time.
The negotiating window starts on March 13th at noon Eastern.
So that's when you see a few deals trickle through, and then the 15th is when stuff starts to go down.
It's basically like the period that the NBA has. They have 3 days to negotiate and sign before.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
this is gonna get wild.
And as long as New Orleans doesn't tamper with his contract, then you guys are good with Derek Carr's contract, because that's technically before the negotiating window.
Yeah, and the Saints have already announced it. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So
hopefully you guys don't get a.
Well, I think we'll be fine.
I think you guys
they'll be fine. Something before we move on to other sports. Anthony Richardson at the combine, a lot of people going crazy over it. Broke some records, looked really good. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I wasn't able to watch the combine because I was working, but I watched the quarterback highlights. That was the only highlights I could get to before some stuff happened yesterday as we are recording March 6th. But Anthony Richardson looked so good out there. Oh my God. 60-yard bomb, no problem. No
Yeah,
freaking problem. That ball was flying.
yeah,
Honestly, I think Bryce Young not throwing was a huge mistake for
yep.
him.
I think I agree. Uh, I still try not to look too much into the combine. I still need to see Richardson play. Because let's be real, at the college level, he wasn't elite. Um, Now he's an elite prospect because of his size and his strength and his arm.
The speed too.
He's got some inaccuracy issues. He's got, some just like mental error issues. So I just want to see him figure those out. But if he can figure it out, he's gonna be a freak. I still wouldn't take him. I would still take Stroud over him, and I would still take Levis over him. And I think I would still take Bryce Young over him, even though he's little. I still think I would take those three over him. So I think he should go fourth out of those four. But
Yeah.
impressive nonetheless.
I think it could be 50-50 with Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson, to be honest. Like I get Bryce Young's gonna throw his pro day, obviously, which pro days are kind of stupid in my opinion now, like you said. But yeah, like I said, I think it's 50-50 for Young and Anthony Richardson, especially since Young didn't throw at the
Yeah.
combine.
The thing is that Young will probably go too, like we all expect him to, or he'll go before. But uh I mean, I think Anthony Richardson helped his case, even if he doesn't go ahead of some of these guys. I think he'll probably end up ahead of. I think he'll get drafted before Levis, though. I think he'll be the third quarterback taken.
You think he'll get
Um,
drafted before Levis?
I think so. I think that this helped him, and I think that some teams will prefer kind of the more project idea of the like you cannot change the fact that he's got a big arm, he's big, he's mobile, he's fast. Can't change that. Now, what you can change is his accuracy and his, like game awareness and things like that. You can change those. So I think some team will be willing to gamble on it. I think he and Levis remind me of they're very similar to me. So it's 50-50 on that. For me, I think
Yeah.
I still take Levis over him if I'm drafting because I think I like Levis's accuracy a little bit more. But they're both freaks, I think, like physical freaks.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
Um, I know that you wanted to talk NHL trade deadline, but should we talk a little bit about John Morant? I think we would
Yeah.
do a disservice in a sports podcast to not even mention it.
Yeah, John Moran is getting investigated for pointing a firearm in a video in Colorado. The Colorado Police Department is investigating it right now. So we'll hear hopefully by this weekend. He is stepping away from the team for at least 2 games,
And
either
also, I
more.
mean, it sounds like at the moment that he's stepping away, uh like not permanently, but he's stepping away until they're able to figure this out. So
Yeah.
um
So that's big. That's a big name in the league right now.
well, and this comes not long after the report that hang on, I have the link that I actually sent it.
The
This comes
other,
after the report of John Morant was accused of punching a 17-year-old boy 12 to 13 times and flashing a gun at him during a pickup basketball game last summer. This was according
yeah.
to a police report. Um, so it's just not looking good for Ja right now. And it makes
Mm-mm.
me sad because he's so fun to watch and
He's a good
he's
ball player
electric.
too.
Yeah, and it makes me sad. So obviously we can't talk much about it because we only know so much, but just figured that
Mm-hmm.
we needed to bring that up. I hope that things are resolved. But it does make me a little bummed out for Ja and for the sport too, and for the Grizzlies because he's been so fun for them, and I'm sure that the fans have loved him. So hopefully they figure that out.
Yeah, I agree. And it's tough, especially with how famous you are, how much fame you have, how much
The
like
spotlight is bigger when you,
spotlight is bigger,
yeah.
endorsements. Yeah,
I mean,
doesn't look good.
it doesn't. Yeah, it definitely does not look good for Ja at the moment. But
Yeah. All right. Durant made his debut last Wednesday. Was it last Wednesday?
I don't know. I know he's played 3 games so far with the
Yeah, he's played
Suns.
3 games with the Suns,
3-0.
but they're looking good. They're looking good.
They're gonna be so. I mean, Durant's like a plug and play guy, man. You could put him on any team and he'd make it work like that. Um, I still think Phoenix should be coming out of the West.
Yeah,
At least they should be going to the Western Conference Finals.
at least,
Uh,
yeah.
we saw them play. The Suns played against the Mavericks last night. The Suns got the better of the Mavericks in that one,
They got a little
and
chippy.
it did. Luca and Devin Booker had some words. Uh, and Kyrie and Luca, or not Kyrie and Luca, Kyrie and Devin Booker were getting into it too. So just definitely chippy. I kind of like that rivalry though.
Yeah, it's a good rivalry for sure.
I have to say though, Luca Doncic, you are such an amazing basketball player. Just shut your mouth.
For
Like,
real.
stop complaining about every call. I feel like he was complaining about things before it even happened. Like they'd shoot the shot and then he'd complain about something before it was even called later. So stop with it because it's like I want to like Luca, and that really holds me back because he just complains about everything. So
Right.
stop doing that. And that's why Booker's getting in your head because Booker seems to me like he was basically taunting Doncic of like, oh, where's the foul? Oh, where's this? And that got to Luca. And it's just like, dude, if you stop complaining about every little foul, then maybe things will actually start going your way. Reminds me of Harden a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Harden's
um,
having a good year though.
yeah, well, because he's quiet, because he's not the number one player on his team. He's the two,
Hmm.
and it's a lot better for him. So, I think a lot of players like that in the league could benefit from being the number two rather than the number one. But yeah, the Suns are really good, man, and it sucks because they'll probably either win it or go to the Western Conference Finals or go to the finals again. And it's just like, oh, like at least win it. If you're gonna go, at least win it.
Right.
It kind of remind me of the Bills. Like at least if you're gonna be hyped up and like good, at least win the thing.
Yeah.
So
Alrighty. We're gonna move on to NHL real quick and then we're gonna call it just because it's a bit of a short episode today. Trade deadline was last week for the NHL. There's only really one big trade that really came up,
yeah,
and that was
Patrick Kane.
Patrick Kane to the
That's
Rangers,
nuts.
which I think is a big upgrade for them because they really need some leadership there.
Yeah. Well, and so I have to admit, I'm not like I don't watch hockey religiously. I've been trying to get into it more, just like I've been trying to get into baseball more. So I don't know a lot about hockey, but I know the name Patrick Kane. So that's how you know it's a big deal is when he gets traded.
Yeah. And Timo Meyer was also traded. I was really sad about that because I am a Sharks fan as well. Uh, we traded everybody, dude. I was so upset. Where we are rebuilding, so it's nothing I could really do. And when we lost Byron Burns and all those people too. So I was like, we're rebuilding. So, and then we had that guy that had a fake COVID vaccination card. So
Nice.
that's also another freaking lost to this
Yeah.
team. But yeah, it was a really big trade deadline. A lot of teams were engaging. The least trades that were made were by the Flyers. No trades at all
Well, they're
before the
horrible
trade
right
deadline.
now.
Yeah, they are.
I mean,
They got their asses handed them by
I want to look at this.
Vancouver.
Yeah, let's look at the standings real quick. I'm a self-proclaimed Kraken fan, so yeah. Okay. Let me go back. Standings here. Okay. So where are Philly? I'm pretty sure like they're at the bottom. Yeah, they're seventh in the Metropolitan Division right now. So
Seriously?
yeah, they're currently 24 and 28.
Jeez.
So um yeah. The Pacific Division is probably the most fun one, even though
Yeah.
not for a Sharks fan at the moment. Like You have Vegas at the top with 38 and 19, but then you have the Kings with 36 and 20 and the Kraken with 36-21.
Dude,
And then
The Kraken have blown up.
yeah,
They were not that
and
great last
then
year.
and then right below them you have Edmonton that's at 34 and 22. So that division is spicy.
Hmm.
Super fun. Same with the Central Division is pretty fun too. Dallas at 34 and 16, and then the Wild at 36 and 21, Colorado at 34 and 21. So it seems very like in all these divisions, they're very like top heavy, and then it
Western
drops
Conference is
off.
more tight, to
Yeah,
be
and then it
honest.
drops off. So
Yeah.
like the Metropolitan Division, you have Carolina with 41 and 12, but then you have the Devils at 41 and 15. Like that's
Yeah.
insane. And
And
then the
plus
Bruins, yeah, and then
the
the
Rangers
Bruins
are
are
on
on
there too.
fire. And then the
Yeah.
Bruins are on fire, 49 and 8 right now.
They're on a 10
Um,
game win streak too.
yeah, and then the Rangers are right below the Devils at 35 and 19. So that will go up with Patrick Kane. For sure. And the Blackhawks are really struggling right now, so that's why it didn't come to me as a surprise. I mean, they're
Kane getting
last in their
traded.
division right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're 21 and 36. So it's
Yeah,
just
Pittsburgh is also kind of falling off too, and they have Mason Crosby.
yeah, where are they at? I mean, they're pretty.
They're fifth in the Metropolitan.
Yeah, they're 31 and see, but that's what makes these divisions so fun is a lot of them are so tight, kind of the top five. It's like the bottom three that are generally like drop off, you know?
Hmm.
But like the top five, I mean, in every division is pretty highly contested. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, big hockey news, and I bet that the Rangers will see impacts from it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I mean, you get arguably one of the best players in the league. So
But yeah, the NBA season's coming to an end too in a month.
we're getting there, man.
Getting
Yeah.
there. It's getting to the dead period.
And then spring training for baseball's
Been
probably
going, yeah.
still got about a little under a month. Opening day is on the 28th, I
Yes.
believe. Let's see. Opening day 30th, the 30th. So
30th.
got a little under a month for MLB to start back up. I'm very excited,
I am
especially
too.
for this to be the first real season that I've paid attention. Um, so
I started paying
and
attention a while ago.
yeah, well, and you know, just to end it on this, a lot of people don't like to watch soccer, and that's totally fine. Um, but I judged baseball for a long time, just like a lot of people judge soccer. And what I did is I took my own advice that I give people about soccer and I just gave it a chance. Um,
That's me with hockey, baseball,
yeah.
soccer. So
Um, I've never thought that hockey was boring, but I've always just not been into it. It's just never been my thing. I think if Utah had their own NHL team, which it could happen eventually, um, I would have been more into it. But listen, I've never been into hockey. I've never been into baseball, but I gave baseball a chance last playoffs and I got hooked. Um, and so I'm excited to watch the season and it'll be fun. And now that I know actually what's going on, it'll be fun. And there are so many games, so um hopefully I'll get a chance. I'm supposed to go to Seattle in June or end of May, early June. So hopefully we'll be able to catch a Mariners game out there. But
yeah, I'm excited for Giants season as well.
yeah, you should be.
New. We still need to work on our bullpen too.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Our
and how are you
bullpen's
guys
really
do?
bad.
How have the Giants been doing in spring training?
Not they've been okay.
And that's the thing
Win
is like you
some, lose
don't look
some.
at yeah, I mean you don't look at their I was just gonna see if I could pull up their game. Are they playing today?
I'm not sure.
Let's see.
I am not sure.
MLB. I don't see their little
They play tomorrow,
okay.
but they're
Good.
3-8 right now.
I mean, and guess what? It's fine.
Yeah,
Like
it's just spring
it's
training.
spring training. It doesn't matter. You don't need to overreact. What uniforms are they wearing, by the way, for spring training?
I think they're black ones.
Because I think teams always have like their specific like interesting uniforms that they wear, right?
Yeah, I think they've been wearing their black ones.
That's it. I thought they would have done like one of the. Let's see. Yeah, they've been wearing. Are these their regular black ones though, or are they like alternates?
They're alternates. They usually have an alternate spring training
Yeah, that's what I was
jersey.
gonna say. And they still wear those throughout the season, right? Like
Hmm.
those are nice though. I like those. I like the detailed like stripes, like the I don't know. Those I really like that.
Hmm.
Looks really clean. Yeah, the Mariners are wearing their turquoise, like that teal color. So that one's sick. They're
I'm
also
also
supposed to get I saved this TikTok. Let me see if I can find it.
their
Of
City Edition, right?
leaked yeah, is it City Connect? Is that what
Yeah,
it's
City
called?
Connect.
Yeah, City Connect. There are leaks for those. See if I can find it. Okay. Yeah, let me show you. It's through the socks, which is really interesting. So here, I'll find these for you. This is also coming from at the ballpark on TikTok, just so if anything happens, you get your credit. So here are some the Mariners leaked socks.
Shit.
So something's with the mountains and like the old school. Um, and then this was like the leaked T-shirt that they had a while back. So
Yeah.
and then let me pull up the A's. So they have these leaked ones. So it looks like they're gonna go with the blue. Um, this one is weird to me. So this is the Pirates. If you can see,
What the hell?
those are the leaked socks. Um, he said it represents the steel in the Steel City.
Oh, it's true.
These are kind of cool. Okay, so look at these. These are the Orioles. So look at these. That
Oh
right there.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Those are
so
sick.
that's those. This is the Rangers, and it looks like they're gonna throw it back to like their old school Texas League. So that's that, and then I think the Reds.
Yeah, I think the Reds are the last team to get one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the
they're gonna be.
Guardians should be getting theirs too, I thought, but
Yeah, because they had to rebrand
so it'll
last year.
be won't it be six? So it says six of the 2023 have been leaked. So I'm
There
sure
should
that
be one or two more this year because this is the last year that they're being revealed.
right. So yeah, it'll be fun.
I'm liking
Any
the new pitching clock too. It's more fast paced.
I like it more fast paced, but like I think that it should be turned off in the ninth.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
agree.
opinion. Is that it should be turned off in the ninth to build
Or
that
even give
part
him,
of
or even give him 24 seconds. Like,
right. Part of what makes baseball so interesting, at least for somebody who's just getting into it, is like that anticipation of like, oh, and
what's
like
the pitch?
it's
What's the pitch,
and it's
man?
hard to build crowd noise too when it has to be like boom, boom, boom. So it's like,
Yeah,
you know, did you see? I saw this one and it was like I think it was the White Sox. It had like the fastest strikeout ever. It was like one and then got the ball, two got the
two,
ball, three. I was
three,
like,
out.
see, I like that, but I want them to turn it off in the ninth because I think that would build more anticipation as long as it's a close game. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, all right. Any other bits? Or are you about good?
I think we're good. Next week we will hopefully have more news on free agency,
And maybe
more
even
hire
some Lamar Jackson news
Lamar
by
Jackson
then.
news, Aaron Rodgers news, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
It's 50-50. Trade, not trading, trade, not trading. He's like more likely to stay, more likely to be traded. So we don't
Yeah.
know. We're kind of over it, but hopefully something comes out of it soon. Next week we'll probably be covering more baseball, spring training, as roster moves will be made from
Mm-hmm.
the minors to the majors. Hockey is going to be heating up a lot more. NBA is going to be heating up a lot more. And then we have free agency starting next week. So we will catch you guys next week. Thank you for listening with us. We'll have Caleb back next week, hopefully, if he's back in time. So
Yep.
yeah, we'll catch you guys next week. Hope you guys have a wonderful week. Thatcher and I are on spring break, so we'll definitely be enjoying our break for sure.
For sure.
For sure. So, but yeah, we will catch you guys next week. And if you guys are on spring break, enjoy your spring break. We will catch you guys next week. Take it easy.
Okay. See ya. Who dat?